This is Economy Watch, what you need to know about New Zealand's economic life today. Brought to you by interest.co.nz.
Kia ora, and welcome to Monday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect Aotearoa. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz, and today we lead with news. China's battle with deflationary pressures shows no signs of being won. But first, in the week ahead locally, we'll get the REINZ result for October sometime this week, and September migration data on Wednesday. Internationally, all eyes will be on American consumer and producer inflation data, retail sales and speeches by Fed officials, as investors seek clues on their monetary policy outlook in the wake of the second Trump presidency. In China, new yuan loans, fixed asset investment, industrial production, retail sales, and the house price index will all be released this week. In Australia, their October labour force data will come out, the NAB Business Confidence Survey, and the Westpac Consumer Confidence Indexes are expected. Finally, we should watch out for Indian inflation data. Over the weekend, China said its inflation rate came in at 0.3% in the year to October and half the modest August level, still giving them disinflation as they stared deflation in the face. Deflation is already in producer prices, and it got slightly worse in October at minus 2.9%. That's their fastest fall in almost a year. Both movements were small, but they're going in the wrong way for them. Among the CPI items, we can see that food prices rose 2.9% in the year to October, so households are feeling some noticeable inflation pressure. Costs eased for fresh vegetables, but they're still up 22% from a year ago. Fresh fruit was up 4.7% on that same basis, and pork was up 14%. Prices fell, however, for eggs, milk, beef and lamb, so not much for us to be encouraged about here. And China has sharply raised their local government's debt ceiling to 35.5 trillion yuan, when they announced the total value of the current program will increase by 10 trillion yuan. But officials did not announce additional measures to directly stimulate domestic demand, probably disappointing markets that had been hoping for a package that would help consumers. They did say, however, they are studying such moves, probably awaiting to see the impact of the challenge from Trump. Japanese households aren't feeling all that great either. Household spending fell by 1.1% in September from a year ago, a smaller decline than the 1.9% drop in August, and better than market expectations for a 2.1% decrease. This marks the 7th month of reduced household spending in 2024. Foreigners love the place, however, not only as tourists but as investors too, raising their equity investment stakes in each of the past 6 months. And Taiwanese exports rose 8.4% from a year ago in October, building on the 4.5% rise in the previous month. Imports were up 6.5%, a slower rate of increase than we've seen in the prior 4 months, though. Robust Taiwanese trade contrasts with what its unfriendly and jealous neighbour is able to achieve. Across the Pacific, Americans remain cautious taking on new personal debt. That rose by only $6 billion in September, a slowdown from the almost $9 billion rise in August and well below the $14.5 billion increase expected. Now the average balance is $23,000, up from $18,000 4 years ago. These are actually not high levels. For the first time since May 2020, the US Fed saw its balance sheet's assets fall below $7 trillion last week. That's a $53 billion fall in a month, a $2 trillion fall since it peaked at $8.96 trillion in April 2022. Before the election, consumer sentiment, as tracked by the University of Michigan survey, rose for a 4th consecutive month, rising 3.5% to its highest reading in 6 months. While current conditions were little changed, the expectations index surged across all dimensions, reaching its highest reading since July 2021. And the November World Agricultural Supply and Demand report from the USDA sees 2025 with more world wheat, slightly less coarse grains, and more rice. The world's ability to feed itself seems stable without unusual price pressures. They expect to import more beef from Oceania. In a change, they now expect more US milk production, even though cow herd numbers might slip slightly. Access to this market now depends on the incoming capricious administration. And the October Canadian labour market report showed a gain of 14,500 jobs, less than expected. But full-time jobs rose more than 25,500. Part-time jobs slipped 11,000 in a virtuous twist. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now just on 4.31% and up 1 basis point from Saturday. A week ago, it was at 4.37%. And the price of gold will start today at $2,684 an ounce and down $1 from Saturday. Oil prices are up 50 US cents at $70.50 a barrel in the US, while the international Brent price is now just under $74 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar starts today at 59.6 US cents and down 10 basis points from this time Saturday. Against the Aussie, we're down 10 basis points at 90.6 Australian cents. Against the euro, we've slipped 10 basis points as well to 55.6 euro cents. That all means our trade-weighted index starts today at just on 68.7 and down 10 basis points from Saturday, but unchanged from a week ago. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $79,831 and up 4.9% from this time Saturday. Volatility over the past 24 hours has been moderate at just on plus or minus 2.9%. You can find links to the articles mentioned today in our show notes, and you can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again tomorrow.